Okay, I'm gonna be working with Castor again, and now he's in a new location. I'm just kind of going through the motions here, making sure he's cool with everything in this new place. So I'm in my arena, and then he's just kind of like in the yard. So there's like a little fence on the other side, like behind my house, so he could go back to his pasture, or he could be in the yard, or he could stay here with me. So that's kind of the setup here. But I was just doing some petting, moving his tail a little bit, just making sure he was comfortable with all those things. He's really highly food motivated, so he definitely wanted to stay the whole time and participate as long as there's enough reinforcements. Like some kinds of haze, he's like, this is not worth it, and he'll leave. But most of the time, he's pretty motivated. So, and his backup looks great for that target. That looks really nice. But I'm just gonna run through the grooming stuff again. And that was really nice side pass too. And I'll move it around and show you some leading too, because it's a little bit easier to work on that here because there's only two rails instead of like all those bars in the gate. So, and I really wanted to work on, there he remembers his targeting, on his feet with this setup because I didn't want my arms through the bars of the fence of the gate there while I'm trying to work on touching his feet and picking his feet up because I wanted to do all of that in protected contact. So this works a lot better, but I wanted to take him out here and make sure he was cool with his setup and comfortable and remembered everything, and then it transfers over to this new location because sometimes it doesn't. Some horses in some situations, so. But this looks really nice. I like all of that. He has a really high reinforcement rate right now, and right now hay is working, so it kind of depends on the hay, but he's taking it. He's liking that, so wait for him to take all of it there. Um, kind of work my way down, make sure he's just cool with everything since it is a new spot. I didn't work with him a ton in this new location. I did a lot of feet stuff over here, some leading stuff, and then we moved out of it. And I think I either went back to the gate or I think I started moving him to the mounting block. But we just did a few sessions over here. And once we had that foot situation, really, I could start using the mounting block as like a little bit of a protected contact, and we kind of moved on from there. So, but that was my thinking process with all of this. I also wanted to work on like his tail in this environment because I could kind of work with that a little bit easier versus the gate, like his pasture gate. So that was my ideas with that. So we're just gonna let him hang out and eat some hay here. And he likes to like pull the hay when there's like a chunk of hay, like he's eating off of like a hay net or something. But just kind of work on touching his tail there a little bit. So I'm just preparing him to start bringing that tail to the side and be brushed. So I'm gonna like start messing with it a little bit more, moving his tail around, but I'm just gonna fast forward through that a little bit. I'm gonna work on touching his hind legs. And again, I want to pay attention to like his body placement. Like right now, his hind legs are nice and close to the fence. I don't want him too far away so that I have to really stick my arm through there and get hurt or something. But I'm also paying attention to this body positioning with his shoulder here. He's kind of leaning away a little bit. I think it's just because this is the right side. I probably need to do more work on the right side. I don't think he does it as much on the left side. That was nice. I could have moved his tail to the side and he didn't really show much of a reaction at all. So we like that. But body positioning is important. It makes it really easy when they're at liberty and they're just going to show you if, this is making them feel weird, they're afraid of this hurts, stuff like that. But you can definitely start paying attention more and working on that just on a line as well. So we're gonna cruise through his grooming here because we've seen this a ton. So I'm just gonna fast forward through all the grooming, but just so that you can see it in a different location. Work on putting him under his belly a little bit more. So that looks really good. I didn't really get to stick my arm a little bit like as far as I wanted under there with the gate situation, so happy to work on that a little bit. There we go, kind of moving that tail a little bit more. That looks really nice. He didn't change his body positioning at all, so he didn't get really tight. Didn't raise his neck up. Like all that looks fantastic. Let's work on some targeting here, get him a little closer to the fence. Brushing his face. He doesn't love brushing his face, but he's getting better. So you can kind of see it better from this angle. I probably should have had his hip a little bit closer here. So I didn't have to reach quite so much, quite so far away. But he looks great with his mane being brushed. Maybe a little tense there, but he's standing and waiting for it. So I just gotta keep rewarding it and making it, that looks good. Like not so scary, not so much at once, not too overwhelming. That looks much better. He responded really well to that. That was really good. He's a little far, but I wanted to do a bit of brushing. I like his body positioning here. He's nice and relaxed. Give him a moment here to pick up some of the hay that's on the ground and just chew and hang out for a minute. Looks really good. I'm trying to pay attention to his head and where he's at with his body too. But he's looking good. Like ideally I'd like to have his hip a little bit closer, but with all of his past training, he looks like he's been set up pretty well for that. If he got really tight or anything, I would have stopped and just tried to make him get closer and then broken it down a little bit more. So I went to go get more hay and he kind of wandered off, so I just brought him back, but that was because I had left. And I really got to make sure he doesn't get into a habit of, yeah, there he goes. He evened out. It's not getting his hip that far away. So I went ahead and cut out the part where I put his halter on because you've seen that. Same process, different place. And we're just going to work on some leading. So I apply a little bit of pressure and then show him that backward step with the target. And this angle is a little bit better than the last video when I did it in his pasture against the gate. So it's a little bit easier to see. It's not as dark. I try to stay out of the way as much as possible, but I'm going to ask a little bit here. That was perfect. So I kind of am delaying the amount of time or delaying the use of the target. So I ask with the halter and then wait and see if he'll do it. And then if he doesn't in a second or two, then I'll go ahead and bring the target and show him the answer. But he's getting it here. He showed me two really nice backup steps. They're both the same leg, but they're still backup steps. We'll take them. Even if he shifted his weight back, or just kind of thought about going backward. Like in the beginning, that's what I'll take. So here, I should have definitely showed him I wanted more than one step. I think I was too stuck on it was the same leg, and I should have just not worried about that because one step is one step. And I don't think he was quite ready for the two steps yet. But he did pretty good considering. I should have showed him a little bit better with the target too. So, and this is, you've got to be careful with this because you don't want him, like you ask for the backup and he just doesn't do anything and then you have a horse that's not responding. So setting him up, making sure he's going to follow that target is all really important because you don't have the rope. So you don't have any of that to where you can kind of slide down. You just have the halter. So my reasoning is so he's not used to the ropes. He's not desensitized to the ropes. We're getting to that point, but I wanted to break it down to where he understood the pressure on the halter without the added scary rope. So that's what we're doing here. And he's doing quite well, but you have to be careful with it. I mean, this is the safest way I've found to teach leading. There's no rearing, there's no running, there's no nothing. He takes baby steps forward, he takes baby steps backward, he takes baby steps left and right. Attach a piece of twine that's looped over so I could just pull it out if I need to, or if he needs to run off, it'll come right off. And we start leading like that, and then we start desensitizing the ropes. We add ropes, and that's pretty much it. So then there's no craziness. It's very boring to watch, but it's not going to traumatize my horse either. So that's what I care about. But This looks great. He looks so nice with that left leg going back. He's gotten that part, and he definitely kept thinking about it and did those 2 steps. So ideally, I wouldn't have asked him for 2 right away. Probably just today would have just kept doing the 1, but he is responding really nicely. That forward step looked great. I should have probably showed him that target because I don't think I did any other training between this video and the last video he saw. So I need him to see that target, follow that target, like that's the goal. So the fence is a little bit in the way here. I should have had him just kind of come around, not with leading, just by following me in the target and just started a little bit further back, or like had him back and then started the forward. We were just a little bit too close to the gate there. That's better. And then just have him line back up. Oh, wrong way. That's all right. Sensitize a little bit. He's a little bit more, just a little bit more finicky on this right side. Just need to spend more time there. Make sure he's cool with me touching that well not at the bottom of his halter, and he's kind of bringing his head toward me, so we'll take that. That's your beginning of your turn there, is just bringing your head to one side, just like the flexing under saddle, like flexing laterally, same thing. Just breaking it down into little tiny steps. Show him that target. Should have taken that next stretch, but he did try really hard and gave me that step. But he's looking fantastic. And he's a lot calmer than he was in that other, that last video. So I think that's just a part of just asking for a little bit less, going a little bit slower. And then I think it was kind of muddy at that gate. So that probably had something to do with it. And there's just like less room to work in that location. So, and it was windy and cold too, so that didn't help. That looks really good. But it's just a little bit easier to work in this environment. And I could have put him in the arena too and been on the outside, doesn't really matter. But I liked this. You could also do this on an around pen. I just didn't have one at the time. There we go. That was nice. And I'm clicking as soon as he's taking that step forward, releasing, getting him his treat, and then feeding him. So you don't have to have a wooden fence to do this. I wouldn't do it in an electric fence. Even if it was off, depending on your horse. If they're afraid of it and you touch it, even if it's off, it might scare them. So it just kind of depends on the horse because you could use, he's not quite, I'm just trying to show him and he's just not quite getting it there. So I should have just had him follow that target forward. There we go. Reiterate that this is what we want. I want you to follow the target forward and then work on that forward movement. But you could just use like poles and buckets and just have like a little one, a little barrier, just something safe. So very nice. That was better. But this worked out really well for him. Luckily, I had this arena fence. Let him hang out and chew, and then I'll ask for a little bit more. There, that looks really nice. I'm just barely asking on that rope halter, and it's really soft rope halter too, so it's not cutting into him or anything. I'll just ask him to turn around because my round pen's right there, so I don't want him to get into that corner. But it's important, that was really nice. It's important that he's okay with me approaching his face with my hand, touching the halter, and then applying pressure. If he's not okay with that, you have to work on that first. And then go ahead and work on the leading. So if one thing's broken, don't move on to the next thing. You gotta fix that first. So that was really nice. I don't want to do too much. He was really fantastic. So I'll just take that off and be done for the day. But that looked really, really good. Give him a little jackpot here at the end. Just kind of give him the rest of my hay bag.